Hey, hi, hello. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Heather, or Miss Postaway if you're one of my students. This is Pages with Postaway. Today we are going to talk about my April wrap-up. So all the books for middle grade that I read in April, and I think I've got 8 awesome titles to share with you. That sounds good. Stick around. Hi, I am so excited to talk about all of the wonderful books for middle grade that I read in April. And we're going to start off with actually my favorite book of the month, 5-star read, and that would be Ghost by Jason Reynolds. This is a whole series. I am reading actually this one right here, right now. So that'll be in May. Hoping to read the whole set. Super great book. Ghost is an interesting character. He kind of stumbles upon this track practice right at the beginning of the book and decides to show them that he can run. That's something that he's good at. He's had some pretty traumatic events in his life and he understands running. Does not understand track or being on a team or anything like that. He's definitely got his own little struggles to overcome and to face. This is the first book in a series where you can kind of see each of the new team members is definitely fighting a battle, and having that team is really one of those pieces that helps make the journey easier. I loved this book. I loved Ghost's voice. He is not perfect. He makes some pretty interesting choices in the book, and you watch him grow. And I love that. I love it. So fantastic book. Highly recommend. I've been recommending this one for years, especially to my kiddos that like sports, especially my runners. And it's a winner every time. So I'm going to go through the whole series. Super excited. Cool. The second one I read, The Puppets of Spelhorst by Kate DiCamillo. Kate DiCamillo is a fantastic author. In fact, she was at the Festival of Books, so I did get to hear her talk. She has a way of bringing really intricate stories to life. She loves that fairy tale motif, and so it kind of follows those things. This book was interesting, and I know it will appeal to people. It's not my favorite kind of storytelling, and so I'm not probably the best one to talk about it. So we have these puppets. They were sold as a set. You have a girl, a boy, an owl, a wolf, and a king. And the whole book is this journey, the puppets kind of telling the story of their journey to get to their story. They kind of trade hands a couple times. Different people have them, and they're very tied to who they are, and they just want their story told. It kind of gave me Velveteen Rabbit vibes. It's just a story. I maybe if you're a Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, I don't know. You have to enjoy the story told from the puppet's point of view and making sense of the events that they're going through. It's cute. I gave it 3 stars. I will never reread this one. It was fine. If you like those kind of books, if you like that kind of thing, then you will probably very much enjoy this. I'm probably not the best person to recommend it to you. So the next book that I read is called Bloom. It's part of the Overthrow trilogy. This is a series. It's a dystopian I had never heard of. It was recommended in the Grand Canyon Reader Awards section as it had been nominated. So my book club read those. It's so good. It's dystopian. It follows 3 main characters. It kind of shifts the perspective. We start in this one with Anaya. And Anaya has extreme allergies. She's just allergic to everything. And so it's caused a lot of problems. She has skin problems. She has like breathing problems. She's just allergic to the whole world. And then we kind of get to know Petra. Petra is the second character. She has a very, very rare allergy to water. She's allergic to water. So she has to do all kinds of things, especially considering they all live on an island off the, I want to say, west coast of Canada, and it rains a lot. So she has to do some very careful things. And then we have Seth, and Seth is kind of new to the island. He is with a new foster family there, has some secrets of his own. They don't get revealed till later, and I'm not going to share those with you. So the book starts off with a very strange event that takes place over the entire world. It basically rains for 3 days. And in this rainstorm, something comes with the rain. And basically overnight, they start to have these plants, all kinds of different plants, taking over everything. They're taking over the world. And they have very aggressive things that are happening. So the world has been taken over by these plants. Petra, Anaya, and Seth seem to be the only ones that aren't really affected by these plants. Something's going on there. And so as things rapidly unravel and kind of go, you have these 3 kids that are not only immune to some of the things that are everybody's allergic to now, and they're also starting to strengthen. The kids kind of strengthen. So the book is fantastic. It's a fast ride. You are pulled right in. The characters are very relatable. My students in my book club, we read this one, absolutely loved it. Wanted our hands on the second one. Could not do it this year. But I mean, that's the highest recommendation I can give. So although Ghost got 5 stars, this one got 4.5. It was a close second. I can't wait to read the rest of these. Kenneth Oppel is new to me, and oh my gosh, he's got a backlist, a huge backlist. I can't wait to go read some more of his, because I have a feeling he is a really good writer for middle grade. The way he wrote just sucked you right in. Adventure, excitement, intrigue, mystery. Yeah. 2 thumbs up. So far, I'm super impressed on that one. Really good book. Okay, so my next book was a novel in verse, and this was called A Work in Progress. It is by Jarrett, Lerner. Wow. This is a heavy-hitting novel in verse. I've noticed that happens a lot. Some of the hardest things to talk about are being brought forward in these very approachable and readable books. So the book is basically written in a poem form. So every time you turn the page, you're getting a new poem that is kind of following the story. That makes for a very easy reading experience. I really like this way of telling a story. There are some trigger warnings with this one. So this centers on Will. The book is printed as if we are kind of reading Will's journal almost. His drawings, his writing, it's in both journal and poetry form. Very short. The way it's printed actually looks like it's on notebook paper. It's a little bit thicker, but it reads very quickly. Will is larger. And he's been larger for a long time. And a bully, a kid, I think in 3rd or 4th grade, basically says something horrible to him. And Will internalizes it, and it shuts him down. And so it shuts him down. He starts to wear extremely large clothes. He's hiding himself. He starts to walk away from friendships, and he just kind of shuts down. We're dealing with depression. We're dealing with some eating disorders. We're dealing with just this very unhealthy relationship between food, self-esteem, relationships. Will's main outlet is his art, and school is absolutely miserable for him. He makes a friend. He encounters somebody who is able to help him see things a little differently. There is some good mental health rep in this one, in that he does get help. There's a lot of internal messaging that's very negative and very hard to process. I think that kids would resonate with this one. I think that there are a lot of kids that will see themselves, and it doesn't need to be a relationship with food. It's any kind of struggle where you are so negative talking to yourself that you can't see the way out. Lonely kids, kids that just don't fit in certain ways, I think would really, really resonate with this one. My problem with this one, and there's nothing wrong with the book. It's just so heavy, and it takes a while for you to process through with Will as he does start to find those healthier outlets. I can't hand this one to somebody. Like, I can't. I would feel strange in like handing a book. I really think you would like this book. The way it's written, I think tons of kids would like this book. I think I would do it more as I'm going to talk about this book from this perspective. I'm not going to hand this book to a kid and say, you should read this book. But I think if I stood up and I said, hey, this book is about this, this, and this, and anybody who's struggling in these ways would probably find a lot of connection to Will. So I would be very careful where I can like grab a book like some of these other ones and hand it to a kid and say, ooh, you will like this book. This is so good. Here's this. What is this? I would never do this with this one. I would have to stand back and say, here is this book. If this sounds like something, then I highly recommend it for you. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just not one of those books you hand a kid and say, you should read this, because I think that they could very easily internalize something that is not intended to be internalized. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm trying to be non-spoilery here, but just the way that he talks down to himself and has to fight through that, I would never want a kid to internalize, and especially if they never finished the book, I think that could go very wrong. Yeah, I really did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars. The 5th star really was that piece of the puzzle of how do you put this in their hands without putting this in their hands personally. And I think it can be done. I don't think that's a problem. The next one that I read was The Otherwoods by Justine Pucella Winans. Very much enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. This one follows a non-binary character who has been always able to see the supernatural in their world. So they have kind of been haunted by monsters and ghosts and things their whole life. They have known of this thing called the Otherwoods. It's dangerous and it's scary and it's creepy. And ever since they were little, and they were like talking about the monster under their bed, and their mom's like, yeah, okay. But there really was a monster under their bed. The character, I guess maybe a year before, came out as non-binary, and they go by River Rydell. So River is struggling at school with people and other students and even a teacher who aren't really recognizing or helping them feel accepted. There's one lovely friend named Avery who has reached out, kind of started to be their friend. And River is very excited about this. You get, I think they're in 7th grade, you get that beginning twinge of like, oh, I kind of like this person. So you get a little bit of that. But really the story is facing fears. River has to basically face their fears. They go spend some time with Avery, and Avery ends up being taken by the Otherwoods. The Otherwoods has done everything in its power to get Avery to come into the woods, and they have done everything in their power to not. But when it's a friend in need, River has to dig down super deep and face their fears. I love a reluctant hero. I love somebody who every step is an extra challenge as you are trying to do what is scary to you. And I loved watching River face their fears, do what needed to be done. The book is really good, has lots of twists and turns. River has this adorable cat called Mr. Fluffy Pancakes, which, I mean, if you have a cat, then you know they always have some of the strangest names sometimes. So loved Pancakes in this book. Just kind of a fun little side character. It was a great book. I really enjoyed it. So 4 stars. I'm getting so close to being done. I have read 2 more of the Amulet series. I only have 1 left. So I ordered the whole set from Scholastic. So they are going to be on my shelf next year for my students. This has been the best discovery ever for getting my reluctant readers to read. I have several kids who are absolutely adoring the Amulet series, and I have just magic. Magic happens with graphic novels. I'm going to talk more about that in another video. But so I read book 7 was Firelight and book 8 was Supernova. Wow. So much going on in the story. I can't tell you anything because it would be way too spoilery, but I'm just absolutely loving the series. The pictures are fantastic. Watching the characters grow, change, develop. Whoo, do things happen in these books? So can't recommend enough, guys, if you have reluctant readers. I'm telling you, graphic novels and this Amulet series, now that it's done, the whole thing, if you have Scholastic book orders, the whole set is actually for sale. Finally, the last one I read was Captain Underpants. I'm going to do a whole video on this one, so I'm not going to talk very much about it because believe it or not, Captain Underpants, the whole series, is a banned book. It's actually it's one of the top 100 banned books. The American Library Association puts a list out. This one's always on it. So I read number 9. I had never read a Captain Underpants before. Check this title out. Captain Underpants and the Terrifying Return of Tippy Tinkletrousers. It was fun. It was a fun read. It was a fun book. It's definitely potty humor and ridiculousness. It's exactly what a 6th grader, what a 5th grader, what a 7th grader would enjoy, maybe even a 4th grader. It's just silliness. You have a principal. I don't know if you know who Captain Underpants is. I did not. Heads up. Captain Underpants is actually their evil, horrible principal that these 2 kids, Harold and George, they've basically hypnotized him. So when they snap, I think, or they do something, he turns into Captain Underpants, this amazing superhero in his underwear saving the day. So that is not who I thought Captain Underpants was. Man, oh man, did I have some learnings to do. It's fun. It was a fun book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I won't be reading any more of them, but I won't be worried about handing them to a kid. This will definitely hit your reluctant readers. It's not a graphic novel, but it's graphic novel adjacent. I mean, there's pictures on every page, so they really support the words. I did not know that Harold and George, or George and Harold, are the writers of Dogman. So that's where Dogman came from. And, you know, I came to appreciate a Dogman this year. So, man, my journey. So I think if my count is right, that was 8 middle grade books for this month. I feel like I did pretty good. That's my readings for April. I had a great reading month. I really enjoyed them. And April was busy, so I'm kind of surprised I got through as many as I did. So yay me. With that said, happy reading. If this is the kind of stuff you enjoy, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.